Hello, and welcome back to War Thunder aboard the AMX-30 DCA here in Realistic Battles, and I will show you two gameplays. And while I do this, I will, talk about what I'm doing in those gameplays. I will show you two different playstyles, and I want to tell you how to SPAA. And when we talk about how to SPAA or how to flak, we need to seriously discuss some very important, crucial points. First of all, when to fire at an enemy plane, and how to position yourself to make the most use out of your guns and to make yourself not the most obvious target. Then also we have to talk about situational awareness, which is also in conjunction with the previous 2 points, and repositioning, of course. Then communicate with your team, especially with the aircraft on your team in the air if they need support or something like this. Then also how to defend yourself or even attack enemy tanks and how to kill them with your guns and which belts to use. And at the end of the day, of course, when we talk about the AMX-30 DCA, radar. Is it overpowered? Is it balanced? Is something that players still have to get used to? Is the battle rating of this SPAA justified or not? And this RE251 would say no. Now, another point that just came to my mind while I'm doing the commentary is the spawn point battle. Now, at the end of the day, tanks win tank RB. Aircraft are these days not that powerful anymore as they were in the past. For example, Horton 229 got nerfed with its HVAP belt. The, overall cannon cast is not that strong in my opinion. Rockets got significantly readjusted. The bomb holographic aim circle was removed. And also then the appearance of radar makes the life for aircraft in particular even more dangerous than it was before. And I think all this combined makes playing tanks itself much more enjoyable in something called Tank RB. Now, as you can see here, this is the first match on the expanded Eastern Europe. We can see here right now that I have some radar contacts in the air, Horton 229, and we get a critical hit into him. Funnily enough, I had a mission going on to not just shoot down aircraft, but to also get a double strike, and we make the Do 335B explode. So he was close. He flew in more or less a straight line. He gave me the full profile. He didn't know my positioning, and he just crashed. And so, without wasting too much ammunition and giving my position away to enemy tanks, I blew him up. And this is effective. So, when to fire? When an enemy aircraft is flying in a straight line. Don't fire when he is too far away. You just will alert him, you will waste ammunition, you spend too much time shooting at him and making it possible for tanks to close in. If I would have done this, I would have not seen this Panther II coming or hearing him. This is another, thing that you need to know. You can hear enemy tanks coming, and I blew him up. This is my 4th kill and now my 2nd capture zone. And look at where the rest of my team is. Let's just talk about this in a moment. They are fighting in the city, they are dying in the city, they are far away from the capture zone, they cannot support me. Then there is a bunch of tanks that are still going into the city. Guys, why are you going into the city when the capture zone is in the open with a lot of cover as well? Just 4 tanks are going into my direction. One of them being the T-92 in the beginning that really annoyed me with his machine gun fire, and he tries to flank. He does not directly support me. And of the 3 tanks that are between my location and our spawn zone, one of them is a T-95. Oh boy, and now I get another critical hit into a plane and I stop firing and concentrate again in the area around me. So later on I made sure that I win this game. I need to shoot down aircraft, I need to shoot down, or I need to kill 2 planes or tanks in quick succession for a double strike for the HATS mission, this is played on April 1st, and the event in War Thunder, one word, boring. Nevertheless, what's going on right here? Well, again, I was staying so long in this capture zone that even a German heavy tank could go into my raw direction. And there is another aircraft. I'm apologizing here for a bit of the desynchronization of the sound with the footage. I have no idea what it is. Maybe I should have restarted the PC, and later on in the second gameplay there it is as well. And now I do a crucial mistake. There is not too much that I can do against the Tiger II when he's aware of me, because his armor is just too thick, and I don't want to risk it to, well, disable the gun barrel by shooting at the gun breech, which is the biggest target. And did a little bit of a mistake, and he actually reversed and could shoot me in the front of the tank, and it seems like he hull broke me right there. So that is interesting. The next gameplay is here on the Normandy map, and this is a bit of a different playstyle. While I'm not directly on the front line, I make sure that I still have a very good impact on the game. So, just a few words back to the other gameplay. I made sure that I win with the AMX-30 Foch. Easy game. One-shotted King Tigers through the lower glacis. AP spalling effect. Beautiful, beautiful. And the strong frontal armor. I even shot down 1 or 2 more aircraft, if I'm not mistaken, with the 15mm machine gun. And yeah, also tanks can serve as some sort of SPAA, at least when the enemy aircraft gives you the possibility to do so. Now let's talk about positioning after we talked about when to fire. Positioning is important so you have the best chances to fire at the enemy aircraft. So follow your team around to the front line, but make sure that you are not the front line tank, be second line. Then you also can support your, well, friendlies by, you know, shooting the tracks of an enemy tank or disabling their gun barrel, especially with the AP belt, or in this case also the stock belt. I'm using the tier 4 belt here for having extra penetration for the side of especially Soviet tanks and German tanks. Situational awareness is another thing. For example, this scene here, I nearly captured the zone but went out of it, because when you capture a zone with your allies, it doesn't matter, regardless of the amount of capturing that you did, you get always 300 spawn points. So giving your teammates also a bit of a bonus for the long term, making sure that more and more games are won, because this influences it. Don't be too selfish. You are a support tank, even in this respect. Now, situational awareness also is important when an enemy tank is coming your way, that you prepare for it, that you reposition yourself, and to prioritize the aircraft. And one thing about situational awareness is a special case of very good pilots. Now, first I shoot down here the balloons. I'm again sorry about the desynchronization of the sound. Later on it's going better. I shoot them down because I am confident that I will kill the enemy aircraft, and those balloons are possessing or are offering a threat to not just the enemy aircraft but also my aircraft. And if they're in a dogfight, well, there is equal chance that they crash into him if they crash into them as well. And they also hinder my line of sight and line of fire. And while this is not crucial for this gameplay, I think the cost of ammunition was worth it. So also hearing an enemy aircraft when it's coming at low altitude to surprise you or surprise an enemy tank, you still can react to it. But this is something that is important for every tank, I guess. Then communicate with your team, you know. Make sure that you tell them when you're reloading, because while this aircraft has 600 rounds and has 600 rounds in reserve, the reload is 54 seconds. That's a long time. Also, if there is one of your teammates having a dogfight, well, maybe you can support him, and if he is coming your way, and then again wait for the right time to fire. By the way, this was now the radar shot where I did not follow the lead indicator, and sometimes the lead indicator well, doesn't tell you anything. It comes where the enemy aircraft is going, if it's turning and so forth, where the lead indicator, which is also a bit affected by ping and or packet loss, and even if you have perfect packet loss and ping, even then it is not 100% right. You know, you have to practice it. When you can trust the lead indicator and when to lead the lead indicator, or you know, aiming a few degrees above or below the aircraft if it is turning, or you know, under leading the lead indicator if the aircraft is turning into you. And you know, also saving ammunition is a nice side effect of this. But furthermore, again, communicate with your team if you can shoot an enemy aircraft, if a tank is coming in some way your way or is threatening you, and if you even can't shoot him, communicate with your team. You're more than just an SPA, you're a game manager. Yes, that's what you are in certain SPAs. Now, how to defend yourself from tanks? First of all, repositioning, running away with, for example, smoke screens, artillery strikes. But if they are not immediately aware of you, just take out their gun barrel from the side especially, not so much from the front. And the best target is the muzzle brake. It's the biggest target, and if that is down, well, the tank has a lot of trouble dealing with you. He still can shoot you with heavy machine guns. For example, the Soviet 14.5 millimeter is highly dangerous to you. American 50 cals have still a good chance to go through your turret partially. And also an enemy SPA is a great threat to you. And I think the SPA versus SPA engagements is one of the most fun things that there is. And yeah, then it comes to the question if the radar is overpowered or balanced. Well, first of all, the AMX-30 DCA, with its current performance, is just having a battle rating that is too low. 7.3 versus all other radar SPAs in the game, which have 8.0. Well, it makes enemy planes go boom and they have to readjust. A lot of pilots just don't know that at this battle rating there is such a huge threat. And yes, this aircraft is a lot of fun. Again, this guy here had a very good plan, but I was behind the house. I couldn't fire at him, but he also couldn't fire at me. So yeah, I'm aware of him, and just in a moment he does an impressive maneuver and he turns into me and goes low. Let's give ourselves a few seconds to admire this maneuver. And so he turns again. Maybe he wants to avoid some of my friendly aircraft, but I don't see anybody flying around. And then he goes low, wants to go under my guns, and while doing so, he crashes. So this is another side effect that enemy aircraft then tend to wildly avoid it. Again, this is the first part. If you want them to avoid because you have not a very good shot, still fire a few rounds. Maybe they duck and weave and make some dolphin maneuvers and mess up their bombing or strafing or rocket run. So everything is connected with each other, and playing SPA is sometimes not very easy. A downside of playing SPA from the beginning, which I personally like to do when I have certain challenges, is that, well, you could go into a position where you could, well, get some very nice early kills, like 3-4 kills early on, and influence the game, which you cannot do necessarily with an SPA, especially against heavy tanks, for example. But you could pressure, as you could see in the first gameplay, a cap and demolish enemy light tanks or certain tank destroyers such as T-92, a lot of the American tanks at 6.7 in this area in particular. I want to talk here about the M55-1, the M50 Ontos, T-92, M56, M41 Walker Bulldog, enemy SPA, light tank destroyers such as the Hellcat. They're all gun food for you, and you have some sort of stabilizer, so this makes this tank really, really nice. But if you mess up your positioning, if you fire at the wrong moment, if you have no situational awareness, if you don't communicate with your, well, teammates, and if you don't know how to defend yourself from a tank and to reposition and so forth, and when to, well, also move again up to the front line to support your tanks, well, then even radar doesn't give you the biggest benefit. If you cannot even spot the red boxing or the gray boxing in this case with the lead indicator, and you don't know how to shoot in the first place, then even the radar is not overpowered. Now, I think in conjunction with all the stuff that I talked about that went into the game to, let's say, readjust, or in other words, nerf aircraft, I think it's a good positive thing for tank RB itself. Because do you remember when the Horton 229 had the full HVAP belt? Do you remember when rockets one-shot even a mouse, even if it were just HVAP or HVR rockets on the hull of the mouse and just made it go boom? And also when there was this holographic aiming circle. Do you remember that? It was not fun playing tanks back in the days. To add to this radar at higher tiers, especially against the faster jet, ensures that there is more fun for tanks and tankers can actually do their job. And I like that. And there is still another game mode for aircraft like Tank RB, and I have shown in the past how to make, for example, the 82 and 84 Sky Raider work as fighters with much more income, especially when you're stuck and you don't have, for example, the Hydra rocket pods for the French 84, or no, it's the American 84, and where you cannot really have that much impact and you need a long grind with your bombs and rockets to actually be effective in Tank RB. The same goes for bombers. So everything is provided here for every aircraft, every tank in the game, I guess. Not so much for the Germans because they lack the mobility and are easily flanked, except for some premium tanks, but that's another story. And let's just move on. At this point in time, my team is, pressuring the capture zone, and there was a word for it, not spawn camping, but spawn pushing. Whatever you want to call it, you engage the enemy as close to their spawn as possible and make it as unfair for them as possible to make sure that you win the battle. And to get some extra easy life kills is always nice. Again, I look around for aircraft, I listen, but there is nothing there, and I stay still in cover. My positioning is very close to the front line, but not actually directly on the front line. You're still dying very easily to enemy SPA, to enemy planes if you don't pay attention. Rocket, bomb, or cannon cast is highly dangerous to you because of your thin turret armor and the fact that you just have 3 crew members and so forth. So yeah, to aim at enemy tanks and to also reverse if they are shooting at you, and I nearly lost a crew member there, and to also reverse in time is important. Again, immediately checking if something is in the air. An aircraft can close in very, very fast, and now I lose 1 crew member to the fire of a Coelion, and he keeps firing. So what can we do about this? Well, basically we can go to the other side of the building and see if he still fires at that and then kill him. Again, look around for enemy aircraft. There are none, but you still have to look around because this is now the time where enemy aircraft love to attack you. This is a little trick, by the way. If you have a very good enemy aircraft guy, he can spot you, he can evade your shots and try to make you force to a reload. And there are the shots coming in, and I hit the transmission of what looks like an M42 Duster. Let's just talk about this scene just in a moment. We go in and I see 2 enemy tanks, we fire and we kill one of them, and a second one. We get a double kill, 7 kills. And a capture zone. And I influenced the game, and I helped my team, killing the aircraft that could have killed some of my tanks. So the advantage that we now have is in the long run, to a certain degree, thanks to me. I supported my tankers so they could do their job. But back to the trick. If there are 2 enemy aircraft in the air and you are concentrating your fire on one of them and you don't kill him, he tries to avoid your shots and to do evasive actions, maneuvers, and that costs you ammunition. And if this is a very smart pilot, he tries to re-engage you when you're not paying attention and, for example, shoot at the second aircraft. But you just can shoot some bursts at an enemy tank or enemy aircraft, and he thinks that you have now no longer him in sight. But you remember where he turned. If you have radar, you click on him, so you get the radar lead, you wait up until he gets in a straight line and then open fire, and you have killed not just an aircraft and cost him spawn points in the long run, but he also killed a good enemy pilot. And this is where, you know, you come to the high end of SPA gameplay. I'm not a 100% ultra expert in this respect, but I've shot down enough aircraft in the long run to know what I'm talking about. Now, especially when we compare this SPA to a Kugelblitz, it's more mobile, higher rate of fire, better turret traverse with 80 degrees per second and so forth. And you could see also the income is not the worst. So overall, this tank has a too low battle rating with its capabilities. Especially if you compare the turret rotation speed, the high rate of fire, the elevation speed, and the mobility and the ammunition selection, for example, to a Kugelblitz, which has also no radar, and also the other SPAs of other nations at this battle rating, you just have to give the tank a higher battle rating to be fair and balanced. And let me know in the comment section what you think about it. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Give this video a like if it did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields and in the skies of War Thunder.